Hello everyone and welcome to our Friday ONIT College Basketball Show. We had a ton of thrillers this week that we're going to go over, but before we get started, as usual, please do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It really helps us out here at ONIT. It is totally free for you to do so. Doesn't sign you up for anything. All it does is get our videos in your YouTube subscription feed. So if you like the content, definitely do that. If you haven't already, check and make sure you subscribe if you enjoyed the videos. And if you stick around to the end, we'll tell you how you can get involved in one of our upcoming episodes. So stick around to the end of the video and find out how you and your ONIT cards can be featured in one of our future shows. For now though, let's begin by taking a look at what's in our Friday college basketball box.
What's in the box?
Our Friday college basketball box features our locally sourced but nationally relevant headlines for all of our ONIT teams, as we have some big ONIT versus ONIT matchups coming up this weekend. We'll also take a look at our two best performers from the course of the week in making the grade as we look at our best men's and women's performer. And lastly, we'll wrap it up by telling you about our 10 players we think you should be watching. We did pretty good on last week's episode. Hopefully we can get another 10 great names nailed down here for this weekend's action. But we begin, as usual, by taking a look at who made the grade. Time for making the grade. This is where we pick our two best players of the week. One on the men's side and one on the women's side. Got a bunch of good candidates this week. Let's start on the men's side, and I'm picking from the UConn Huskies, Terrace Reed Jr. Big game for him against Butler in the 80-70 win for number 6 UConn. He was so close to a triple-double. 16 points on 6 of 10 shooting, 10 rebounds and 7 assists to go along with 3 blocks. He was filling it up for UConn, whether they needed him to score points, whether they needed him to rebound missed shots, pass the ball, block shots on the defensive end. Didn't matter. He filled in every way imaginable in this game. Was just 3 assists shy of a triple-double, finished with a double-double, shot 60%, even went 4 of 5 from the free throw line. Just really did it all for UConn. And in a game where they won by 10 points, his contributions to the win definitely played a huge part in why the Huskies were able to walk out of Hinkle Fieldhouse with a victory. So for those reasons, Terrace Reed Jr. is our Gem Mint 10 player on the men's side. And on the women's side, our Gem Mint 10 performer this week is Olivia Olson from the Michigan Wolverines. She led her team in the Big Three categories with 21 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists, while also contributing to steals, and 3 of her rebounds were on the offensive end, leading to some second chance points for Michigan in their 80-58 win over Northwestern, as they rebounded nicely after their loss against UCLA. Olson was the leading scorer in the game for both teams, and with the 21 points, she did it on 9 of 17 shooting while going 3 of 4 from the free throw line. So in her bounce back and Michigan's bounce back in this game against Northwestern, the near triple-double for Olivia Olson earns her Gem Mint 10 grade this week for us here at ONIT. Let us know if you agree or disagree down below. And let's take a look at our upcoming games this weekend, because we got a lot of good ones. Lots of exciting men's games this week, and we're going to start off with a big one between ONIT teams out of the Big Ten. Number 2, Michigan, staying at home to take on UCLA. Michigan getting a win last time out at Northwestern, 87-75. They'll come back here home and play UCLA, who has had 7 days off going into this matchup on Valentine's Day. UCLA won 77-73 against Washington when they were last on the court. And now the Bruins are going to try to get potentially the win of the season. They're 17-7. It's been a very up and down year for them, while Michigan is 23-1. Still holding on to that top spot in the Big Ten. This is going to be a game that for UCLA will really determine their NCAA tournament status. A win here would do a lot to solidify their bubble chances. And for Michigan, it wouldn't hurt them all too much if they lost. But if Michigan wins this game, I think UCLA is probably done for with their remaining schedule, with the seesaw season that they have had with the wins and the losses. They've had some bad losses. They have some good wins. But I think winning this game would definitely be a separator when it comes down to what the committee is going to be looking for an at-large team in the tournament. So a huge ONIT versus ONIT matchup for number 2 Michigan and UCLA. Again, this game is on Saturday, Valentine's Day. So tune into this contest coming our way from Ann Arbor between ONIT squads. Should be really fun. For more of our ONIT ranked teams, we had number 6 UConn beat Butler on the road 80-70. They will now get Georgetown here on Saturday. Most of our games this week are on Saturday. UConn 23-2, coming off the win on the 11th at Butler. Going back home, will take on Georgetown. Just trying to ride it out in the Big East. They should have the regular season title wrapped up as long as they can take care of their business in the rematch against St. John's that is still looming. That is the biggest game by far left on UConn's schedule. While Gonzaga only has 4 games left in the WCC after they get through this game against Santa Clara. They'll be on the road at Santa Clara on Saturday. Just beat Washington State easily, 83-53. Zags 24-2. Santa Clara is a team that has given them fits in the past. There's a lot of teams that Gonzaga has struggled with in the WCC when it comes to playing close games. Santa Clara is definitely one of them, specifically on the road. So we'll see if the number 12 Zags can hold on there and potentially win the WCC conference with just 4 games to go after this one. Then we have number 13 Purdue. They're coming off a massive victory on the road at number 7 Nebraska, 80-77. They got it done in overtime. Hopefully you got a chance to tune in to that game on the 10th. That game was incredible. Purdue went into the half up huge on Nebraska. Nebraska stormed back, took it to overtime. What a game this was, but Purdue escapes with the victory, could potentially surpass Nebraska in the polls when it comes out on Monday. If they're going to do that, they have to win on the road at Iowa. That is the next game coming up for the number 13th ranked Boilermakers. As we look at Ohio State, now 16-8 after beating USC 89-82. Ohio State's done pretty much exactly what they're supposed to this year. They've beat the teams they're supposed to beat. They've lost to the teams that they're supposed to lose to. Coming up against number 15, Virginia, that is a game that they will not be favored in. So on Saturday, Ohio State will have to try and snap this perpetual cycle here and get a win over a team that they are not favored to beat. If they can beat number 15, Virginia, again, they'll be making a pretty solid case when it comes to their at-large bubble. Ohio State's one of those teams that you really are not sure of at the moment. If they can get a big win over a ranked team, it might be enough to push them in. It still might not be enough. They're one team that's really hard to pin down right now, but Ohio State would love to get this win here over Virginia, especially at home against the number 15th ranked team in the country. And then we have number 7, Nebraska, 21-3. Talked about that loss to Purdue. They did a great job of storming back in the second half to make a game out of it, but fell short in overtime. Of course, there was that slip with the last couple of seconds in overtime. Apparently, somebody threw something onto the court from what I've seen. I don't know if it's real or fake. It's hard to tell in this era of AI. But if that's true, if a Nebraska fan really did throw something on the court and it caused Jamarquez to slip there in the last second, that would be really unfortunate for the Nebraska fans. They'll try to bounce back from this loss, 2-14 against Northwestern. So another game on Saturday here, take on Northwestern. Michigan just beat Northwestern pretty handily. Nebraska's a very good team. They should be able to handle Northwestern as well, especially still remaining at home. So we'll see how that one plays out. As we look at our timeless only schools here, these are teams that you can only get women's and men's basketball cards for online at onitathlete.com. If you purchase a timeless subscription, there's annual and monthly subscriptions, so go check it out on the website onitathlete.com and look for timeless. We have a timeless versus timeless matchup here in an ONIT versus ONIT game. Number 21 Arkansas is taking on Auburn in a battle between the SEC foes. Arkansas just won against LSU 91-62, completed the season sweep over the Tigers. Relatively easy for them. While Auburn is in a bit of a skid, they're now 14-10 on the year. Just lost against number 19 Vanderbilt, 84-76. Auburn's bubble hopes are pretty much shot at this point. Arkansas has a chance certainly to win the SEC regular season crown. They're going to have to jump past Florida if they want to do that. So this is a game that Arkansas is going to have to win if they want to keep pace with Florida as we continue to shrink down that remaining calendar. Should be a fun game. Lots of great players in this. I'm really looking forward to watching Darius Acuff Jr. once again. He's just so fun to watch, and this game is happening for us on Saturday on Valentine's Day between those two timeless squads. Then Penn State picking up another Big Ten win, their second of the season, gets them to 11-14 on the year. They won on the road at Washington 63-60. Said it wasn't going to be easy for Penn State to go across the country and win, but they pulled it off against the Dogs, and now they will stay out west and play at Oregon on the 14th. So that's another winnable game for Penn State. Would be nice to string together some Big Ten wins here to close out the season. Just give them a lot of confidence in where they have grown to throughout the conference schedule. And then for Texas, a win over Ole Miss, 79-68, 15-9. They'll be on the road at Missouri. Texas, a team that's kind of treading water right now in the SEC. They're on the outside looking in when it comes to winning the conference in the regular season, but could make a splash in the conference tournament if things keep going the way they are for Texas. So they're definitely a team to keep your eye on. And our other team out of Texas, Texas A&M, 17-7, just lost again, 86-85 against Missouri. They're in a 3-game tailspin right now in SEC conference play, and now they're going to number 19 Vanderbilt. That's a tough game for them. A&M has to get out of this funk if they are going to get back into the ranks of potentially winning the SEC regular season title. Right now, that looks like a long shot based on how things have played out over the last couple of games for A&M, but the hope is still on the table. They have to beat Vanderbilt if they're going to do it, though. So Saturday is a make-or-break game for Texas A&M when it comes to winning that SEC regular season conference crown. And our last timeless-only team is West Virginia out of the Big 12. We talked about how they took on Texas Tech on the 8th. They had a bunch of time off before going into this game on Saturday at UCF. They'll be taking on UCF on the road in Orlando. West Virginia's done very well for themselves in the Big 12. They're a lot like Ohio State, beating the teams that they're supposed to beat, have lost to the teams that they're supposed to lose to. At UCF is a tough matchup, but it should be something that West Virginia is able to handle. And when we come back here on Tuesday, we'll see if they're able to do so. But that is all of our men's games this week. Lots of fun games. Really looking forward to those ONIT versus ONIT matchups. Michigan, UCLA, Arkansas, Auburn. Should be fun. So if you're free on Valentine's Day, if you don't have any plans, or after your plans are over, definitely recommend tuning in and watching some of these great contests. And we've got some more fun ones on the women's side. We've got some great games on the women's side this weekend as well, including multiple ONIT versus ONIT matchups. And that's exactly where we will begin, starting off with a battle in the SEC between number 4 Texas, who's heading on the road to take on number 22 Tennessee. Texas is one of our timeless only schools here at ONIT, and you can get them through a timeless subscription, either monthly or yearly, at onitathlete.com. And they are coming off a loss against Vanderbilt, 86-70. They were not able to get it done in the game last night, and now they go on the road and take on Tennessee and try to recover in the SEC conference. Tennessee actually has a better conference record at the moment than Texas, and that loss to Vanderbilt is definitely going to hurt the Longhorns when it comes to potentially winning this conference. So getting back on track by beating Tennessee is a must-do here for Texas. And for Tennessee, they finally got back on track. A win over Missouri, 98-53, has them at 16-6. They are at home against Texas. They're 8-2 in the conference. So the Lady Vols do have a good opportunity here to keep pace with the top teams in the SEC, the South Carolinas, the Vanderbilts, the LSUs. So a win for Tennessee is very important because they are very much in the hunt to win the SEC regular season title here if they can win this game against Texas. So a lot of ifs for both sides, and we'll see how it plays out. But a big ONIT versus ONIT matchup between these two will certainly go a long way in deciding who wins the SEC this year in the regular season with only 4 games left. Then we have another ONIT versus ONIT matchup in the same conference. This one between Auburn and Texas A&M, as Auburn will be on the road heading to College Station to take on Texas A&M. Auburn is coming off a loss against LSU, 77-44 last time we saw them, back on the 8th. So as they go on the road, and they'll take on a Texas A&M team who just fell at Kentucky 75-55. So both of these teams coming off pretty big losses. Both of them have struggled heavily in the SEC conference so far this season. But an opportunity for one of them to grab another win. All the wins help for morale, for confidence boosting. So getting a win in this game for either team will be big. We'll see who comes out on top. It should be a fun one. Expecting a lot of good defense to be played. Both of these teams are rather low scoring, so defense will probably be the story of the day, or it might be somebody who just catches fire on offense and carries their team to a victory between these two ONIT schools. So another fun game to watch here coming up on Sunday the 15th. Then taking a look at some of our ranked ONIT squads, we're back into the number one spot with UConn, still undefeated after mollywhopping Creighton 94-44. They are 26-0, and they are at Marquette on Saturday, Valentine's Day. Business as usual for UConn, another big win, another blowout in the Big East. On the road at Marquette, another Big East matchup. UConn has handled those with ease this year, not expecting much different from them. And the same can almost be said for UCLA, 24-1, number 2 in the country. Just took down Michigan State on the road. Not a sweat broken. 86-63, easy win as the Bruins head back home to Los Angeles. They'll get Indiana coming to town on Sunday. Another game for UCLA that should be no problem for them. They've been ultra consistent this year, not expecting a whole lot different here this weekend. Then we have number 3, South Carolina, 24-2. Last time out, they beat Tennessee handily, 93-50. This is the big game for them, though. At number 6, LSU, along with that Texas Vanderbilt game that just happened, and Texas taking on Tennessee. This is another building block game when it comes to who is going to win the SEC regular season crown, because South Carolina is in that top spot in the conference right now, but LSU, Texas, Vandy, Tennessee, all kind of breathing down their necks, and going on the road to LSU is not an easy place to play. It's the number 6 team in the country, and South Carolina is going to need everyone on high alert if they're going to win this game on the road. It'll be a hostile environment. Imagine that place will be rocking in Baton Rouge. So South Carolina is going to need to pull out all the stops to come out of there with a win. If they do come out victorious, it's probably a clincher for the SEC title. We'll see. There still are, 2 weeks worth of games to be played, but this is a defining moment for South Carolina right now in terms of winning that conference. Number 7, Michigan has themselves a rematch against number 13, Michigan State. They're at home to do this one. They beat Michigan State on the road in a thriller, hoping that the game in Ann Arbor will be less climactic for them, coming off an 80-58 win over Northwestern. We talked about Olivia Olson being our Gem Mint 10 Player of the Week, expecting her and Silas Swords both to step up for Michigan like they did last time against their in-state rival. But a really fun game to watch on Sunday on the 15th between these two bitter rivals. Then taking a look at Ohio State, speaking of bitter rivals of Michigan, 22-3 this year, just won at Oregon, 80-64 when we saw them on the 8th. They've had some time off to go into this pivotal Big Ten matchup against Maryland. They're playing number 20 Maryland on Sunday at home in Columbus. Ohio State has been very steady this season, just the 3 losses so far, have some big wins over ranked teams. This is another opportunity for them to boost that resume, potentially improve their seeding when it comes to the NCAA tournament when the committee is comparing head-to-head ranked wins against some of these teams. So big opportunity here for Ohio State to get a ranked win in the Big Ten. Try to keep pace as the season's coming to a close. Nobody's been able to beat UCLA in the conference. It looks like they probably have it wrapped up, but Ohio State could potentially move into that 2 spot in the conference if they can keep stringing together some wins and get some losses from others. So a game to keep your eyes on there. And another Big Ten squad, USC, coming off a 79-73 win over Indiana at home. They're now 16-9. Another win in the conference for them, and they'll have a week off before taking on Wisconsin. They don't play that game until February 19th, so a nice bit of rest for USC here in the latter half of the season, which could be very important for them. Again, we've talked about how they are really sitting on the bubble, having some time off here to rest, recover, and then finish out this regular season strong. Could be the difference for USC between making and missing the tournament. So we'll hear more about them on Tuesday as they go into their matchup against Wisconsin. Looking at Arkansas, 11-15, just lost at number 14 Ole Miss, 80-57. Not an easy game for Arkansas as they take on Mississippi State on the 16th. So they've got a little bit of time before they play again. Trying to get another conference win. SEC wins have not been easy to come by for the Razorbacks this season. They're trying to find some here before the season comes to a close. At home against Mississippi State is probably going to be one of their best opportunities to do so as the season winds down here. And then we're taking a look at Nebraska, not a timeless only school here. 16-9 on the year. Their tailspin continues. Lost at Minnesota, 84-67. A team that was in the rankings, only had 2 losses all year, has now lost 7 out of their last 9. Something has got to get fixed here for Nebraska. An opportunity to play number 15 Iowa at home. Maybe that will be it for them. It's a tough challenge. They got to get up for it. But if they can find a way to win this game, definitely would be a building block, maybe a springboard for them as the season comes to a close and they go into that Big Ten tournament. Just something to get them right and get out of this funk that they've been in over these past 9 contests. And lastly, we have Penn State, 8-17. They just took on Maryland on the road, 81-62. That was the final score as Penn State lost to the Terrapins on the road. Number 20 Maryland, again, was not an easy opponent for a Penn State team that's really struggled this year in Big Ten Conference play. But they do get a little bit of an easier team on Sunday. They'll take on Northwestern here on the 15th at home as well. So Penn State looking to get another Big Ten win in their grasp. Northwestern is the team that they will be playing to try to do so on Sunday. And those are all the women's games we have. Again, a lot of good stuff this week. Some ONIT versus ONIT matchups, some big ranked games on the women's side. So let's take a look at our 10 best players this weekend who we think you should be keeping your eye on. This is our top 10 players that you should be watching this weekend. We've got 5 men's players and 5 women's players as usual, starting off with Yaxel Lendenborg. He doesn't really need much of an introduction there for Michigan, but as the Wolverines go into this final stretch of schedule here, he's been the most important player for Michigan pretty much throughout the year. Not expecting much to change here, so check out Lendenborg as Michigan continues to try and ride this hot streak that they've been in on. Then for Auburn, Caitlin Duhan. In this matchup against Texas A&M, I think her defense is going to be an important part of whether or not Auburn can win this game. She's the team leader in steals and just plays really good defense all around, can switch on to the best scorer for any other team if needed. So I think Caitlin Duhan will be an X factor in that game for the Tigers. Then we have Tyler Biladeo, leading scorer for UCLA. Again, huge matchup for UCLA against Michigan. If they're going to win, he's going to have to be firing on all cylinders. So I think that he is a guy to watch because it's going to be make or break for UCLA against Michigan in regards to their tournament hopes. So Biladeo is going to have a big game if UCLA is going to win this game, in my opinion. Then we've got Fatmata Janeh from Texas A&M, nearly averaging a double-double per game for the Aggies there. She is just such an amazing player on offense. She's averaging 12 points per game, 9.8 rebounds per game. Again, in a SEC matchup against Auburn. Talked about the defense of Duhan. I think cleaning the glass will also be an important part of who wins this game. She's obviously exceptional at it, so if she can pull down a bunch of rebounds, potentially get some second chance opportunities for Texas A&M, think that they could win that game. Then we've got Trevon Brazil for Arkansas. Once again, Arkansas is playing in a big-time matchup against Auburn. For them, Darius Acuff Jr. has kind of been the leader for this team. He's just such an amazing player, but Brazel has been really the second in command to Acuff Jr., and I think the game plan for Auburn is going to be to shut down Acuff Jr. as much as they can, which means Brazel should get opportunities, and if he makes the most of them, I think Arkansas will have no problem winning that contest. Then we've got Janiah Barker for Tennessee as they take on Texas. I think she's another one, kind of plays second in command behind Talasia Cooper. Her opportunities will come. Texas is going to try and limit the damage that Cooper can do against them. So for Barker, she's going to have to step up in this game. Plays nearly the second most minutes on the team for Tennessee, and I think that her time on the court is going to be very telling of whether Tennessee pulls off the upset. Then we have Tahad Pettiford for Auburn. We have a lot of kind of Robins to Batmans here. Pettiford, once again, a guy who maybe doesn't get as much credit as Keyshawn Hall does, but Pettiford's really good with the ball in his hands, shifty, quick, can make the right passes, also knows when to attack the basket, pull up off the dribble. Just a great player, and as Keyshawn Hall draws a lot of attention, Pettiford will either be trying to find him if he can take some of the pressure off of him, or do some scoring on his own for Auburn if they want to win this weekend. Then we have Joyce Edwards. She's really kind of in a class of her own. Just an incredible player. Such an elite scorer. Has taken a massive step this year from last year. Looking forward to watching her this weekend against LSU. It's such a big game for South Carolina. She's a player that excels in big moments. So want to keep my eye on her as South Carolina goes into what could be a conference deciding matchup on the road. And then Bruce Thornton for Ohio State, another player who really has a lot on their plate. The leading scorer for Ohio State, has helped the Buckeyes win the contest that they're supposed to win. As they go into another game, I think that Ohio State is going to need him to score as much as they can if they want to keep winning, if they want to get into the NCAA tournament and kind of escape this bubble purgatory that they are in. And then lastly, Jordan Lee for Texas, second most minutes on the team for the Longhorns. She is a player that is second on the team in scoring. She's second in a number of categories, really, for Texas, but she does it all. Offense, defense, hustle play, really smart and cerebral. Like the game for Lee a lot, one of the best guards for Texas. And as they try to recover from that loss against Vanderbilt, I think that she's going to have a lot asked of her, and we'll see if she delivers. Those are 10 players that I think you should be watching this week. Let me know if you've got some other players that you're keeping your eye on over Valentine's Day. Hope you enjoy the holiday if you're celebrating for Valentine's Day. And if not, you got a ton of great basketball to watch. So I would definitely be tuning in to these men's and women's games. Thanks so much for watching this week, everybody. If you want to get involved in a future show, make sure to submit your polls to the link down below. We'll take videos, pictures, or anything that tells the story of your best ONIT polls, and we'll share them with the community here on YouTube. We'd love to get that started, so make sure you drop those hits in the link down below, or you can find it in the description. That's all the time we have for today. Thanks again for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you back here on Tuesday with more college basketball content as the season rolls on.